this was a trip where we said, hey, we're moving to Greece. Iceland is along the way. Why not go, right? Okay, so today's video is going to be a little bit different because I am here in Iceland in our camper van for the week. So one big reason that I love being able to have my own business and be able to travel is being able to go to all these different locations. And normally I live in one location for 2 to 3 months at a time to really settle down and get ingrained. But sometimes we go to Iceland and camper van around the Ring Road for a week, which is what we're doing this week. So I'm going to definitely show you some of the travels that we're doing around the Ring Road, but this video is really going to be an in-depth look at what it's like as far as managing, traveling, and working online at the same time when you're not necessarily doing slow travel and like having those routines ingrained in a society, like you got an apartment and a gym and all that jazz. So this week we are literally working and sleeping out of this van and cooking out of this van and traveling around the entire country. So first thing that we're doing today, we just got in early this morning. We picked up our van, groceries, like all of that good stuff. And we are going to do the Golden Circle, which has 3 to 4 main stops. So I'll show you some of that good travel content, and I'll make sure and put like in the corner of everything that we're looking at the name of those locations. And anything that you see, you'll be able to see linked in the description below as well. Okay, so day one, we are tackling the Golden Circle. So today we are doing, I'm gonna have to put the names on the screen here because I can't say any of them, but we are doing this, which we just saw here, which I'll put in the B-roll. And it's basically where the tectonic plates meet, like North America and Eurasia. And then there's a geyser and a waterfall. So in the evenings, we have to transform the van, and because it's small, we move all of our stuff up here. And this is our bed, so it will fold out there. But right now we have all of our groceries out, and Zach is cooking us dinner. So that is our stove and all of our silverware and fuel. Okay, so while Zach is getting dinner started, I am headed with my bag of towel and toiletries and everything to shower because I have been in Atlanta and then a flight, and then we explored all day today. So I thought it'd be interesting to show you guys what these facilities look like. This one looks like a pretty nice camping ground. Okay, so wet hair and all, we just finished up, not too bad. And the shower facility had like hot water, really good stuff. But it is quite chilly to come back out here with wet hair. So one thing that I will say, whether you're like at a campsite or just like in general when you are traveling fast like this, especially if you happen to do van life, is you really have to make sure that you plan for extra time, because it takes us time just to like get in and out of the van, to set up stuff to cook dinner, to, you know, walk over there to shower, and all of these things. So you really have to schedule a lot of extra time into your travels, into your work schedule, all of that. So tonight we are cooking pasta and what is that? Red pepper and broccoli. So today we ended up sleeping in because of the time change. We were super exhausted, and then we did a little bit of work. And then today we are seeing a couple of waterfalls and going to a black beach. So this is the first one. And everyone walks like behind the waterfall there and has come out soaking wet, but the views are really awesome. So I'll take you guys there. Okay, we are getting soaking wet from all of the water. And it's perfect! So it is summertime in Iceland, and as you can see, it is raining and cold and dreary, but this is pretty normal for the weather here, so just make sure that you bring layers, and make sure that you stock up on like snacks, and we've got chips and a bunch of that stuff along the way, you know, in between campsites, in between all the different places that you're driving. Okay, so we just woke up. It's about 7 a.m. We're back on a good schedule of sleeping now. And as you can see, this is our view from the camper van. So today is Monday. So since this is not a vacation and we are fully working, we are going to head into our campsite, and they have like a little dining area, or we might even sit out here. It looks pretty nice out, and we're going to knock out about 3 to 4 hours of work, and then we have a full day ahead of us. Okay, so I am waiting for Zach to get back from the shower, although I think he's here right now. and was just going to fill you in on what we did as far as working this morning to give you an idea of like what is this going to look like if you're working on the road and traveling. Now, I will say that like Iceland's a very unique like traveling fast while working because we are literally in a camper van and we're camping and it's a little bit more like off the grid. But this morning we spent probably about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours working. And primarily because it's a Monday, I did a lot of check-ins. So I always have to check in with all my clients from over the weekend. I have to check in with my team to see, you know, what projects are coming up this week. We normally have Monday meetings, but this week we didn't. And then today I reviewed one of our YouTube videos. I planned 2 different calls that I have for my own mastermind that's running this month. And I kind of just had to outline like if we had a guest speaker and the topics and a training that I'm doing as well for them this month. What else did I do this morning? Another thing I had is we're working on a bunch of internal projects this summer. So we have like some failed payments. We have a bunch of different automations that my team has been working on and they haven't all been working quite smoothly. So my OBM had sent me over some stuff and I needed to review it this morning and kind of give my team next steps. So if you're a solopreneur, this is going to look really different for you, but I have a pretty large team. So a lot of my like CEO type tasks when I'm not coaching are instructing my team, giving them my vision, giving them my reviews, like letting them know that type of stuff. And then otherwise, a lot of my tasks are normally client focused, client reviews, checking in with clients, or their content creation. So outlining and creating, you know, podcast episodes, YouTube videos, captions, like all of that jazz. So that is what we did this morning. Hopefully that gives you a little view of what it would look like. And all that was super easy. In fact, I'll show you right over here. There is a building right there. And that is like a little dining hall and they actually have their own Wi-Fi. So today's campground was super easy. Okay, so we are at a canyon. Starts with an F. I'll put the name right here. But this thing is insane, and evidently it was, what was it, made in the Ice Age or the last Ice Age?
Last Ice Age, yeah.
Something around that time. This is Diamond Beach, but I don't think in the summer it's very big, but there are all of these little icebergs here that wash up from the ocean and they like sparkle in the sunlight. All right, so we just finished up most of the stuff that we're doing for the day. We are probably gonna try and, well, we're heading to our campsite and then maybe heading to a waterfall tonight, but it's already 7 p.m. But we are starving, so we grabbed some groceries later today. And we are probably gonna grab some like cheese and crackers and stuff like that to eat on our drive. So our next leg is like about an hour away. Okay, good morning. So this morning we just finished cooking breakfast and I am sitting on my laptop actually checking in with my team. We are prepping for a big launch this morning, so I reviewed graphics and emails and ad copy and like all of the stuff that they did yesterday for me, which is so fabulous. I have the best team ever. So I am just sitting here with this view, sipping my coffee. This morning we honestly didn't work very much because we're about to have a tour and go hike up on this glacier. So later this afternoon, I'm actually going to be finishing up a couple things for my team and their lunch. So the other hardest part, specifically just about van life in Iceland, is this is our thing. And so I have to come in here and figure out how to organize all of this before we hit the road for our tour. And we have to do this like back and forth 5 times a day. Coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All right, good morning from another location. So we are up at this guest house right over here. And honestly, this morning we went to bed so late last night, so we slept in a little bit, and which I only mentioned because I feel like when you are traveling and you're not necessarily on vacation, like I'm the person that tries to make the most of every single second, and when you're like trying to work and do all these other things, sometimes you just can't see it all, and you also need to like rest and rejuvenate yourself, which is really hard when you have to balance all the things. But I'll take you around here. So Zach and I are working a lot today. This is one of our heavier work days. So we are sitting over here. I'll turn the camera around. And we're just sitting outside with our little own Wi-Fi. And we've been working for a couple hours now. And we're about to finish up and then hit the road again. It also got like 50 degrees hotter overnight, which I'm not complaining, but it's hot. It's my Icelandic sound of music. Stay on Paju de Vigor, right on Sprengisander. We are at these geothermal pools, and I know it's so windy, sorry. And it is like, I think it's sulfur. It smells so bad, but it looks like we are on Mars.
And this is actually Instagram versus reality when you're 6 feet tall. You gotta squat to get the shot.
Okay, so when we wake up in the morning, we normally have our bed made here and we open up the door. And I normally sleep kind of in semi what I'm wearing now. And I'm just gonna give you guys a little quick tour of what the campground looks like, as far as like what would your day-to-day be like if you were working and traveling here. So this facility, this campground actually has some indoor dining here. That's not always the case, but I'll take you in here. So this is the dining and kitchen. Say hi. Hi guys. And then bathroom situation. So one weird thing has been that a lot of these campsites in like the northwest have smelled like very sulfury, the water, but it's fine. So here is toilet, showers around the corner. So not too bad. And this campsite has a little something cool. I'll show you over here. It's got a hot tub, and picnic table and a beautiful view. And that's what you're here for. So not too bad. Okay, so we are at our campsite now. This is one of my favorites because it doesn't have a lot of wind, and it has some indoor facilities to cook. So at the time of recording this, it is day 6 of our 8-day trip. So I wanted to wait to do this till the end. So I really had obviously kind of gone through this for y'all. And so one of the hardest things is that everything takes a lot of time. I had mentioned this, I think, before in one of my other little clips. But with this van here, and I'll show you behind us, like it is a pretty small little shindig. So this right here folds out into a bed. So, and then all of our stuff is here. So every time that we stop, like every morning and every evening, let me set this back up, we have to reset up our van. So this is something that I didn't really fully expect, and I'm definitely known for like overcommitting to all the different things that we can do in a day. But in the mornings, from the time we wake up to the time we hit the road, and actually like make breakfast, convert the van back over so we can sit up front here and drive, it probably takes about 2 hours. And in the evening, like if we get in around 9 or 10 p.m., which is normally when we get to a campsite, we're not in bed till almost 1 a.m. by the time, if we are actually like cooking dinner, because you have to take like all of the different dishes out, you have to take them in, set it all up, cook the food, etc. So you get the point. But this is one thing that has been really difficult, and this is definitely very unique to van life, not just like Iceland or fast travel or whatever. Another really important thing to keep in mind is Wi-Fi. So this is a little Wi-Fi thing that we have been using. It came with our rental and oh my gosh, it is fabulous. We literally couldn't survive without it. So we don't have SIM cards or anything on our phone while we're here, which we normally do. So we just like connect this thing to our phone and that's how we've been like getting directions and everything. It's honestly been really good even out in the wilderness, except for a couple different times when we're just like way out in the mountains and it's not quite working, which is, you know, understandable. But this is how we've been working. So we can connect 5 devices up to this as well. And like, I'll just sit here and like sit on my laptop and pull this up. But Wi-Fi is going to be really important. Obviously, I didn't schedule any calls during this week because I really wasn't sure until we got here what this situation was fully going to be like. So that's another really important tip if you are working. Another thing that's been a little bit harder than expected is food. So with us, back in the van here, we have like a little fridge. What am I looking for? What is the word? Cooler. Okay, so we have a little cooler, but it's been weirdly difficult to get ice. So basically you kind of have to plan your trip, which we didn't plan too well, but you have to plan your trip knowing where like grocery stores are a little bit. We've been able to find a grocery store about every 2 days, but like you are out here if you're doing the Ring Road. And so for us, finding food was a little bit difficult. Because you have a small van, so you can't, you know, do giant grocery hauls. But because all of these towns were out of ice, like it's the most insane thing. We had to like dump our cooler twice and get rid of the food because it's spoiled. So we kind of stopped buying cool food. And so then we've mostly been eating like pasta and rice and, protein bars. We love ourselves some good RX bars. We've got lots of snacks like, you know, peanuts, and fruit, lots of fruit and peanut butter. We've got that here. So just kind of be mindful of that. Not gonna lie, it's not been glamorous. We've had probably like cheese and salami and crackers for at least 5 meals over the past 4 days. But that's just all kind of part of it. Another thing that is important to know, especially if you're trying to work while you are doing this in Iceland, has been trying to figure out where to work. So I didn't plan anything too strenuous, right? I'm a pretty adaptable worker. Like I can work in a car, which I know a lot of people can't, but I've just been sitting up here in the front and I'll like put my laptop on my lap. And luckily I also have a partner that likes driving. So while he's been driving, I've been doing a lot of work, you know, via our Wi-Fi. But when we're at a campground like this, so it's wide open, you know. Now fortunately in this campground we have like a little indoor center over there, which has some tables. That's not the case in a lot of campgrounds. And it's also, the weather's really unpredictable here. So we had kind of like in my head, I envisioned like, oh, it's gonna be nice and sunny. I'm gonna just like pull up a little lawn chair, work outside, you know, for a couple hours every day. But as you can see, we're pretty bundled. This is like one of the nicest days and there's no extreme wind. So I haven't been able to just like sit out in my lawn chair and work like I had planned. So a lot of it's like kind of cramped in the car here. So it has been harder than expected, but this is very atypical for a fast travel trip that we would be trying to work on. Normally this is a trip for sure that we would have just like taken off work mostly, but we've just been traveling a lot. So we were like, well, we got to do what we got to do. Another little quick tip for you is clothing. So we also didn't plan very well for this. This was a trip where we said, hey, we're moving to Greece. Iceland is along the way. Why not go, right? So probably not what everyone's doing, but we have all of our stuff with us, which has been also difficult because it takes up so much room, right? We both have a 60-liter backpacking backpack and then a 30-liter carry-on bag, which in a very small van takes up a lot. We also only packed like summer clothes for Greece and Europe. So I do have like, you know, 1 pair of leggings, and then we brought these jackets on purposely just for this trip, but we're going to try and like ship them back most likely. But we definitely didn't quite have all of the clothes that we needed. I think that you're going to want, you know, maybe sweats and, you know, some comfortable sweaters or sweatshirts. We got by, we were fine, but I will say the most important thing with clothing is layers, 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 because it can be like really hot and then it can be freezing cold. And like even just moving towns, the weather is completely different. There's like gusts of wind that can like blow you over, and it might be raining. So you definitely just need some variety in your clothes. Another life-saving tip for you is, let me show you what's in this bag, eye masks. Okay, so it is, I think it's light, honestly, 24/7, but the sun technically does set, but like it's still bright out. I'll show you a picture here of like, you know, what it was like even on a cloudy day. I think this picture was taken at like 1 a.m. or something. So we did get eye masks, and I'm so glad that we did in the van, so we are able to sleep. One of our nicer meals because it is hot and not cheese and salami. That is the qualifications for a nice meal camping. So this is what we have to do every night, and then this will bed. Okay, so you can still see the lava smoking, and you can feel it. You can see it glowing. So hazy. Very good. All right, I'm obviously not in Iceland anymore. I'm in our Greece apartment, which is where we headed right after Iceland, but I realized I forgot to film a like little summary outro thing for this video here. So just wanted to say thank you for watching. I know this was a long video. Our videos aren't normally this long, but I wanted y'all to be able to see all the different stops that we really took along this 8-day journey, as well as hear some of those really good tips about being able to balance work and travel. A lot of them were definitely specific to Iceland, but I think even if you were like taking a trip in Italy and trying to balance your business and traveling, you can take a lot of good a lot of good nuggets from this video. So make sure to like and subscribe so we can keep creating amazing digital nomad and business building content for you. And last but not least, I always get a lot of questions about cost of living in the places that we're living. Now, while we weren't in Iceland very long, we did go ahead and record all of the cost of living for those 8 days while we were in Iceland. So you can check out this video here where I go over the cost of living and the budget for doing the ring road, for being in Iceland, and for having a camper van. And you can also check out some of my other videos here where I talk a lot more about entrepreneurship, marketing, building an online business, and the digital nomad lifestyle. Thanks, and see you guys in the next video.